Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment of our show is brought to you by Tanoa Healthcare. I recently went to a family reunion, and at one point it's the airing of ailments, where everyone discusses what they've had wrong over the last 5 or 10 years. And 4 of us, we're all talking about beating prostate cancer, all at different ages. 1 in 6 men are going to deal with prostate cancer. It's a reality for adult males. If you face that fight, I encourage you to fight it with Tanova's Men's Health Center of Excellence. They do a great job over there. And the best promo I can give them, I wouldn't be here today if it weren't for Tanoa Healthcare. They saved my life. Trust me when I tell you, trust Tanoa. Tanoa.com to learn more. All right, back with Josh, Mike, Russell, Chuck, and wanted to show you a page. You're not going to be able to read this probably, but I did want you to see that it's official. In 2014, April 2014, this is confidential. It says confidential, not for publication or not for distribution, and we've got it. Nike observations that they made in their brand audit of Tennessee when they first came in and started looking. And here's some of the stuff they talked about. They said that the power tee was different from sport to sport, so they've changed that. The color orange varied depending on the sport, the material used, and the light source shining on it. It will be interesting to see if they fix that, because that's a major issue. They also said there were opportunities to expand the palette, which they've done. Tennessee is now orange, white, smoky gray, and anthracite gray. And if you count what's remaining on the Lady Vols logo, a little bit of Columbia blue. So it's a 4-color school now. And they also said there's an opportunity to create a unique Smoky logo, and they noted that in the past, Smoky logos have been limited to retail, which makes me wonder if down the pike they aren't going to come back with some sort of Smoky uniform that they can use, or Smoky logo that they can use on a uniform. Don't be surprised to see anything like that. But here are my questions for you. Do you think that this is simply putting your toe in the water? Do you think that Tennessee is going to be one of these schools like TCU and Oregon that changes every year? Do you think that they'll change their alternate every year? Or do you think they're going to be like Georgia and Missouri, and they switched to Nike and they've stayed with the same uniforms for 3-4 seasons now since making the switch? Where do you think Tennessee falls?
I don't think it's just putting the toe in the water. I think they realize they have a good brand and they can do some things with it. I think it'll be, to me, I think it's going to be very stable for at least 2 or 3 seasons. After that, I mean, I don't know. But
well, it's a slippery slope, I think, once you start tinkering with things. 10 years ago, who thought we'd ever be here today? You know, Philip Fulmer is firmly established as Tennessee's coach. You never would have thought they would have worn a black jersey. Smoky gray is just out of the question. They start doing those things and people say, well, you can never mess with the helmet. Now they've messed with the helmet, so I think it'll be interesting to see where they are another 10 years down the road.
Guys, your thoughts? Do you think they make any changes?
Yeah, you mentioned that 1 to 10 scale when Nike first comes in. It starts at a 2, and it's already probably started to rise a little bit.
Yep.
I think it'll continue to do that. And if Tennessee starts to win more games and Butch Jones has more success and he wants to make some changes because of his success, I think the fans will be willing to let him do that.
Yeah, I agree. I think that when you look at the orange and white, I think they'd be wise, mess with the white, do the road stuff, mess with the alternate every year if you want. Just leave the orange and white at home for the traditionalists. And I think they could push a lot of other stuff through, because there's no real tradition in those road uniforms. That started in the 60s with television. So, and then I want to show one other thing we've talked about it, the Lady Vols logo. I thought this is interesting. And once again, I don't think Tennessee has done anything right with this Lady Vols thing. I don't think it was a necessary fight. I thought they finally put out a good explanation 6 months after it should have come out, which was Jimmy Cheek's letter in the Sentinel. Now, everything else in the Lady Vols uniform, you'll have orange and gray. I think they've got the gray alternate as well. But the logo, if you can see it there, the Lady Volunteers is still written in light blue, the Columbia blue, which was actually introduced by Ray Mears. That's a men's thing. For all those people that say, I hate the women, that blue, that's a men's thing. So they wore it in the Ernie and Bernie years. Guys, are you surprised that they stayed with the blue here? You could have written Lady Volunteers in gray. I mean, that's almost like, okay, let's throw them a bone here. And all that does is say, well, you could have kept the whole uniform light blue. Why did you? I just don't get the idea of keeping that instead of changing it to gray.
I agree with what you said there a moment ago. I think this entire Lady Vols issue has been an unnecessary mistake, and since the original mistake, it's been mishandled since then.
It's certainly been de-emphasized, and again, it's the slippery slope issue where, I think 10 years down the road, do they even have the Lady Vols in women's basketball too? I just wonder if it's something that is a gradual change.
I think it is such a good look too. I mean, I can see leaving it that way. I don't know how well the gray would have shown up. You know,
I would think gray would show up better than light blue. It's darker.
Well, I mean, I just think that looks good, and you're still like you're saying, giving them a bone. To me, you either do away with it in all sports, or you keep it.
Well, I agree, but what I don't get is everything changes to gray, except this logo is going to have a little blue in it. There will be no other light blue on their uniform. They'll have anthracite around the numbers, and they're going to have a smoky gray uniform. There will be no light blue anywhere but on the logo. To me, that just doesn't make sense, but so be it. As we said, nothing about the Lady Vol switch has made sense to begin with. Mike, you agree with that?
If it's only throwing them a bone, I'm glad they threw it. I'm glad it's still on there somewhere.
Very good. All right, when we come back, football season is fast approaching. Who are the 6 most important volunteers on this year's team? We'll discuss that. Come on back on the Sports Source.